Andy Beaver to get some expert environmentalists, lawyers and all those such things. So at this time, we're going to set it up to ask some questions just like we had in the last meeting. But first of all, we're going to give the professionals that we have brought up tonight to give the first opportunity to speak. And Mr. Connor, I think, can you tell me which ones we want to, since some of them already spoke?
I think what we need to do is David's still here.
I'm sorry?
Is David still here?
It just,
Okay, I think really what we need to do is make the record, the core record on the core issues. Everybody else we had spoke. Yeah, everybody else.
I think we had all those that wanted to speak tonight. Commissioner Copeland did a great job of trying to get through the question and answer series and all tonight. I was really proud of how the citizens here in Wayne County and the city of Jesup handled this tonight. Did a great job. We had some good questions. One of the things that we're trying to do, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Connor, one thing we're trying to do now is want to make sure that we get all these things in record. That's the reason we have the quarter report tonight. Thank you for coming tonight. So when we do, Mr. Connor and his group will put together a comment sent to the Corps, which has to be to them before April the 5th. So what we're doing in here tonight, all these questions that were asked tonight, we're going to be put into the comment section. We're going to be written up by the attorneys, and this will be put into legal records, and also they will have this to review. So at this time, if we don't have anybody, or if we have someone that would like to ask any other questions, y'all know that most of the gentlemen have left tonight. But I know there still may be a few that might have some kind of question that we can put into the record, Mr. Connor?
Yes, sir.
That can be put into the record that will go to the Corps. So does anyone at this time have any questions? Yes, ma'am. If you'll step up. Yeah. And please, And we are having Dogwood Festival this weekend.
Yes. This is really not a question, but it's a statement.
Yes, ma'am.
I've been in Wayne County all my life. I do not want to see Wayne County become a sacrifice community for big business. We've got a way of life here that we love. That's why we all go off to college and we say we'll never move back. And what do? We come back. It's a great place to live. It's a great place to raise your children. We don't need coal ash. We don't need all this other stuff. I don't want to be sacrificed for the good of Republic.
Thank you, ma'am.
Can we have the lady's name, please?
Yes, that's Miss Edna Ruth Williamson. And she runs the Dogwood Festival, and she'd like for you to come this weekend.
And no dogs, David Earl. No dogs.
No dogs, that's right. No pets. Down front.
All right, I'm Denise Foles, and my family has lived in Wayne County since the 1800s. I still live on the land of the original land grant. My parents and my family and I all live there. And there's some questions that I have because Wayne County has always been a part of my life, and I know that the folks that I had for these questions are no longer here, but I would like for them to be a part of the record. My first question was for Republican. Says, how have you developed plans and applied for permits to transport, accept, and allegedly contain the dust, the ash coal dust on Broadhurst without having investigated and developed a method of keeping the fugitive dust contained? So they know that it exists. They know that it's there. Why have they made a plan to bring it without already having investigated that? I know what they said about with the permits approved, and we'll go through and process those things. However, I would think that you're putting your cart before the horse. Actually, the horse is out of the gate, is out of the barn, and it's already gone. Also, since the Republic said that they state that they have no plans to bring coal ash in 2016, to me that was an obvious statement. The permitting has not been completed. The rail yard has not even been started. So when you look at the difficulty and the length of time it takes to build things, 2016 is out of the question for any of us, and any sensible person should be able to figure that out. My question is, when are your plans to bring coal ash to Wayne County? Republic emphasized numerous times that coal ash is non-hazardous. However, I do not believe that they would be willing to have that dumped in their yard in Arizona, or Mr. Kelly would like to have that dumped in his yard in Arizona daily for years to come. So that's just a statement there. Does the Corps of Engineers believe that exterminating a species is acceptable? And the last question that I have, what are the beryllium levels now at Rockhurst, and are they at acceptable levels for drinking water?
Thank you, Mr. Nichols.
Let me get this one right here, Larry.
We got someone in the back, I'm sorry.
We got one right here. And then I'll give you, and then I can.
I'm not for sure when my family first came to Wayne County, but I know that my great-grandfather was born in 1831 on land that my brother owns now on the Ottawa River. So we are longtime Wayne Countyans. We've been here, there's probably 8 or 9 generations of us now, if you count the great-great-great nieces and nephews that I now am proud to have. But it is tragic that this has happened to Wayne County. But y'all, we can fight this, and we can continue fighting it, and we can continue fighting it. We cannot give up. We cannot give up. We can never give up. We can go down fighting, and there is something that can be done. They say there's nothing we can do, but there is, and that is to keep fighting. Every day we need to fight it.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, Carolyn Kendrick Owens.
Get down, get to the middle.
Yeah, I want to know and stuff. They talking about they got wells all the way around this place. Why can't they go and find houses where people lives and check their water? At least, you know, we're 3 miles from the dump. Why can't they go and spend the money to check at least 9 wells where somebody's living and stuff, and make sure that their water is all right? You know, at least we'd be like the canaries in the coal mine.
Okay. And his name was, I'm sorry.
Raymond McGauley.
Raymond McCall. And we've got that question in, and that'll be entered into the legal briefs that we're going to be sending to the Corps of Engineers. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Nora Verassi, and my question is, the concentration levels they're telling us in the aquifer, the shallow wells around here are probably more prominent than the deep wells the further out you get. Concentration levels higher in the shallow, or is that higher in the deep wells? What's the filtration rates of this stuff?
Good question. Good question. We've got.
Jeff, you want to answer that? Jeff?
Oh, I didn't see yes. Okay, I'm sorry. Jeff, sorry. Thank you. Thank you, Jeff.
There is currently no contamination documented in the lower aquifer from the site. There is some beryllium in the upper aquifer that's very close to the solidification pit. The wells are like 30 feet away that has in the uppermost aquifer. It has not left the site. It's contained within the site. It is not documented in the deeper aquifer.
Thank you, Jeff.
I'm Billy Thornton, and I work with General Electric. I was in the nuclear industry. I was an engineer with them. Now, they didn't bother hold a gun to my head and make me work in the nuclear. But now I understand what you're fixing to go through with. I'm telling you, if that stuff, if it's got nuclear waste in it, you're going to be in for a big problem, because once you get it, do you realize what half-life is? If it's got a 30-year life, 15 years. If it's got a 100-year life, it's 50. So you're asking for a lot of problems, and if we ain't got enough money in Wayne County to fight these people, we need to borrow it from our family or somebody else. Because once you get it, what's the generations to come? What are they going to do? They didn't ask for it. And your children are going to have birth defects, your grandchildren, that you don't think about. So this thing with them people, I'm telling you now, it needs to be, whatever we need to do, it needs to be done. Because we don't need that mess in this county. And they're talking about hauling in on them rails, like the gentleman said about it going into streams. Well, you've done seen down there in Savannah what kind of mess they had with their fish population. Well, what's going to happen here?
Thank you.
There is a fund.
Yes, there is a fund. Ms. Peggy Riggins has a fund set up, the defense fund. Ms. Peggy Riggins, if you'll explain a little bit about that when you're making your comment too, please.
Yes, if you would like to donate to help, well, the things we've already spent money on are signs and stamps for letters and things like that. But if you would like, we plan for the rest of it to be used for legal fees and fees to pay scientists to do research. So if you would like to donate, you can donate to the Wayne County Defense Fund and take it by Harris and Company CPA office. It used to be Bryant and Drury CPA. They are accepting the money. Kimmy Bryant is the treasurer. And right now we have just a little over $3,000. We need a lot more. Even if you can just donate $5 just to show your support, that would be helpful. I do have a comment though, and that is I believe that we should also ask the Corps of Engineers to extend the deadline for comment again. I think there were too many questions tonight, valid questions, specific questions that are not going to be able to be answered in that period of time. And I also believe, I went yesterday to Waycross to see what was going on over there because different organizations, different health organizations, state, and I think there was even some federal people there, are coming in to investigate what the people in Waycross believe are cancer clusters. One lady mentioned it tonight, that some areas have over 500% more childhood cancers. A lot of people in Waycross believe that at least some of their problem, if not all of it, can be traced back to what's been brought from the Broadhurst landfill. We don't know that yet, and neither does the Corps of Engineers or the EPD. So I think it would be very prudent for them to say, we will not make a decision or grant a permit, or just not that we'll not grant a permit, unless the decision's no, that's okay, but we will not make a decision to grant a permit until all the studies are finished in Waycross and they have the data to support whether it's coming from here or not.
Thank you, ma'am. Got a couple more questions? Yeah, we're gonna have.
My name is Stacia Lane Scarborough, and I was raised in Wayne County also. We live currently about 7 miles from the landfill. Where our home is positioned, we are between 301 and the rail line of CSX. I see both the trucks coming in daily, and I can see the rail line, or the railroad. My question is, what is the data? Are there studies as to what my children are breathing? Okay, first they're playing in the soil there. We do have a deep well. We have had it tested when we moved onto the property, but we have not had it tested lately, and I will be doing that after this meeting tomorrow, first thing. So my children are playing in that yard. I have 4. And I want to know, as those rail lines or as those rail carts are coming through there and that stuff is flying off, what is there for my family? For the EPD fellow? Has that been tested? You know, we listen to the guy talk about it going into the streams and the rivers, but what about the backyards that are close to that? And the children, and we are that those of us that are breathing it. And I'm sorry, I'm not very clear, I'm a little nervous. Kind of makes you want to throw up when you think about all this.
Thank you. And I think most of that question will be answered from the CSX, that'll be submitted to the CSX about the coverage for it.
Hi, I'm Alan Brown. First of all, I want to say, Mayor Keith and to Mr. Copeland, appreciate you guys doing this evening. There was something mentioned earlier about, probably will never happen, but I'd like to find out, about a possible renegotiation of the contract. Now, we all know that Republic's probably not going to do that, and it probably won't ever happen. But if for some reason it does, I'd like to know if you and the county commissioners have worked so hard together to make a unity, if the county commissioners would allow our city commission to be involved in that renegotiation.
I think that's probably something we could talk with them about, Mr. Brown. That's a good question. We have an interest. We live even though we live in the city, we live in the county. So, yes, we pay double taxes for some of y'all.
My name is Joey Darling. I'm born and raised here. Just like she said, I came back home. There's already a scare out there, okay? My wife is not from here. She doesn't want to live here now. She's already ready to move. She's scared. there's other people who are going to see this. They're going to be scared. Why should I move to Wayne County? Why should I work in Wayne County? They've got coal ash coming. My question is, do we have any legal rights now to carry on a fight? Is all our hands tied? I don't see Republic going back to the table. I don't know what's going on with the commissioners. I don't know what's the city commissioners, county commissioners. I don't know. But I know there's a scare out there. And if you're talking about property values dropping, if you're talking about our community dropping, we're going to have property values dropping. We're going to have closed doors businesses. I work in a business now. I'm the general manager at Drive-In. Y'all come see me. We have people coming from Springfield, from Jacksonville, Florida, from Savannah, Georgia. We have them coming from Baxley, Hazelhurst, all over to come to our drive-in. They're going to be scared. That's another business that's going to lose.
Yeah.
So we've got to do something. And my question is, do we have an avenue out, or are we just sitting here spinning our wheels?
We're working on that, Mr. Darley, as you speak. That's the reason Mr. Connor and Mr. Beaver are working on it this time.
Did you get his, excuse me, did you get his name? Joey Darling?
Thank you.
Darley.
I'm Jamie Hickhouse. I'm the president of the Hinesville Area Board of Realtors MLS. Yesterday we had a meeting, the MLS, with the Georgia Association of Realtors representative. We started looking at Uniontown, Alabama. That was the first article I saw with the fallout of coal ash. And from an MLS perspective, we could not find a single piece of property listed in Uniontown, Alabama. Realtor.com was originated by realtors. Find a town in America that does not have a house listed. We're not talking about our property taxes going up. We are talking about our property worth nothing. I don't think Bank of America cares if my property has any value at all. They expect me to pay my mortgage payment. I need to know, is there going to be an air quality monitoring system that is going to be a part of this expansion from this rail yard?
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Hickok. At this time, we're pretty much going through most of the same questions that we had prior to that. So at this time, I'm on, because we've had some distinguished guests here tonight also, I promised them, talking with Commissioner Mark Williams from the DNR, Representative Chad Nimmer, Representative Bill Werkheiser, and EPD Jeff Cow, and also Dr. Rasmussen. Told we try to have them out of here by 10 o'clock. Some of these guys have got to go to catch the plane back to Atlanta. So at this time, I'm going to let the city commissioners have their statements. Mike, if you...
Let's get this one more.
I'll be quick.
Okay.
If you don't mind. My name's Chad Lee Ayers. I drove trucks last year hauling coal ash right out here to this place and didn't even realize what I was hauling because it went under the disguise of dirty dirt from a company over out of Brunswick, Georgia. I hauled 7 truckloads in there a day in an 18-wheeler.
Last year?
This is last year, first of last year. And I quit the second I found out what it was, just so you know. It makes you congested. When you get up there and the winds are blowing on top of that mountain, that stuff's going everywhere. So you think what you want to think about it. It's bad for you. It's bad for you. I'd wake up at night, couldn't hardly breathe, and that was just because I worked in it, you know. So I'll probably die with it, no big deal.
Wow, thank you very much. Thank you. At this time, can I hold that mic? Thank you. Let each one of the commissioners have a closing statement.
Real briefly, I'm against the coal ash being brought, into Wayne County, personally. And secondly, I represent the 6th district of Jesup, which is the 5th district that Ralph spoke of, and I am not aware of anyone in that district. I haven't spoke with everybody, but I'm not aware of anybody in that district that is for coal ash coming in.
Thank you. Bobby Townsend, I'm a city commissioner and I represent the 4th district. I'm in my 17th year. Thankfully, I'm still being able to serve the people, and that's what I enjoy doing. What I would like to say is this rail spur is not going to improve this county, no matter whether it comes or doesn't come, or if it does come, it's certainly not going to improve. But just having the landfill, let me say this, just having the landfill is enough. But to add this many tons of coal ash coming in here, and if you listen to Dr. Rasmussen when he spoke, you can understand why. Great quantities of this stuff, and it can be have a helpful damage to all of our systems. So it's nothing good. I've worked with RV Baker Construction Company. I even was helped out of a sale on to this landfill. I can tell you, and the expertise of even putting down liners are very hard to do and do without having some tears or rips, even putting it down. It's not very thick, and to think that this stuff is going to last 100 years or 400 years, I think you can figure out that that's not going to happen. We're going to have breaches. We're going to have leachate. It's going to happen. I know we have the backup liner, the clay with 1 times 10 to the -7. I have located those materials, and I can tell you, you can come up with tests, and you can have every test to pass. But I, for one, was working with it and locating it. I can tell you, I don't believe you can locate that much consistency of clay where you don't have clays that you will have failures. So what I'm saying, anything that man puts together and puts down is going to, we're going to have problems with it. And this theory about when these landfills closes, that they're going to look after them for another 30 years. And of course, I'm sure that's going to happen, and they're going to have money put away to do that. And that time could be extended. Even if it's extended another 30 years, that's 60 years beyond the end of the life of the landfill. Well, what's going to happen, and I'm going to tell you, I won't be here to see this in fruition, but I can tell you, even if it's just a landfill out there, we've got a Superfund on the way. Not only in this community, but every community where they are. It's going to happen, and it's going to be a cleanup somewhere. We as citizens and all other people that were involved earlier with landfills, we didn't have the studies and what the knowledge that you really needed to probably have to locate these landfills in proper areas. But so we've created a lot of our own problems, and we are actually all over this country. We are killing ourselves, and we've got to stop somewhere and figure out what's going wrong and what we can do right. I know for landfills and coal ash, there's no studies out there that can tell you what they expect is going to happen in 100 years. They can't. There's no studies to back up what they got. I mean, they just can't do it. It's something that's just been mandated, and they're going to do the best they can, and they're going to learn by doing it. And if we allow it to happen here, I don't want the end results of learning, and I don't think you do too. And I thought I would be brief, but I just wanted to come in and make those comments. I thank all of our elected officials for what they do. I thank all of our citizens. They want what's right. I think our elected officials and everybody wants to do what's right. We just got to be sure that we get it right. And hopefully, and I know that all our agencies, I know our city commissioner, our county commissioner, our local people are going to hold us all to the fire to make sure that even if we can't stop this, and I believe that voices will be heard and changes will be made, and even if we can't stop it, I think the regulatory agencies can be tough enough that we can be satisfied that what is being done is the best that can be done.
I'm Commissioner Darden, City Commissioner District 2, to comment on what Mrs. Lee said just a few minutes ago about Uniontown, Alabama. That town is about 25 miles from my wife's home, and it's approximately now a ghost town. It is approximately a ghost town. Very few people reside there. Everybody had to move because of coal ash. So I'm totally against bringing coal ash into this community.
Hello, my name is Shirlene Armstrong. I'm City Commissioner of District 1. I do not agree with that. My district got enough problems as it is other than with coal ash. My main question is that where did it come from? Why is it leaving where it's at to come here? Is it just finding those small towns to start dumping in? Or what's going to happen? Why us? Why Jesup?
Commissioner House, District 5. I'm totally against it, and I think I echo Bobby's sentiment. It's going to be a Superfund site, and it's just a matter of when. And we don't want that here. Most of us, maybe, we're probably all going to be dead, but our children and our children's children are not. They're going, you want them to stay here, and. But I've sit on a question all night, and I think the EPD fella can help me with this. Did you say that the last leak made it to the aquifer?
It's in the uppermost water bearing zone. It is not in the deep aquifer.
I've sit on this all night, and I thought about it, and I wanted to ask. So for the record, if we're not talking about a major disastrous, it busts wide open and it goes all down, and then I think that's probably what's going to happen at some point in time. This whole area out here of Penn Holloway Creek is going to be contaminated. But if a hole or crack comes in the bottom of it, and let's say a whole bunch of this, you mean to tell me it makes it all the way to the aquifer? It can make it all the way? I was told that it would be filtered out before it got there. Is that?
It's in the uppermost water bearing zone, which is right under the surface.
Okay.
You go out there and look at the borrow pits that have been excavated, that come back, there's water there, that's the water level, it's in the uppermost. There's a confining layer deeper that goes to the deeper aquifer. It's in the very upper, it's very shallow.
Okay, the answer is that it can make it all the way to the...
It can make it all the way to the...
I'm sorry, I've got the... Hydrologist, hydrologist. Yeah, we got the hydrologist here. Golly. I've been sitting there, I've just been racking my brain. I'm like, I want to ask this question. I didn't sign it.
Okay, Dr. Rasmussen, and we're trying to hurry, but these boys have got to get back to land. You do too.
He can take his time. We're here.
Well, the Department of Energy back in the 50s and 60s buried a bunch of nuclear and chemical waste in these piles at the Savannah River site, and supposedly they had clay liners underneath them. But to their surprise, it went straight down, hit the first aquifer, and they said, well, it won't go any deeper because there's a confining layer down there. It's not going to get past that confining layer. Well, a couple of years later, it got down to the next aquifer. It turns out that the clay isn't universally, it's lenses, so it works, it's like a roof. You always get a leak in a roof eventually. And so it got to that one, and then they said, well, gosh, it'll never get down to the next aquifer. But, a couple of years later, it did.
Thanks, sir.
One more thing. I think we ought to do everything we can.
Amen.
I'm looking. And we're behind you. We're with you 110%, whatever it is. But we need to do whatever we have to do to stop this. This is not good. We need to stop it.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Connor, did you have anything?
I do, Your Honor. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
This is more technical related. Mr. County, you may be able to help us with some of this. And again, I appreciate you coming. First of all, in terms of what happened in the past, Republic was using solidification pits, which basically were concrete pits. And they were using these concrete pits to mix coal ash and liquid leachate. And the concrete pits did not work. I mean, there was leaching that occurred. And the leaching, of course, ended up, as Mr. Jeff has told us, Mr. Count has told us, ended up in the upper atmosphere. So the issue that we have then is how is what they are proposing today different than what they did in the past? And I submit to you, it is not different at all. What they are doing, what they are proposing to do, is they propose to store the CCR, the coal combustion residue, in a lined area of the landfill. But they do not propose to construct a rail facility in a lined area. They do not propose to construct a rail car storage facility in a lined area. And moreover, they have washdown operations where they intend to wash down these rail cars, and that will not be in a lined area. That, Mr. Count, will be over one of your concrete pits. It didn't work the first time, and it ain't going to work this time. So that's how this is going to work, and it's not going to work because concrete is not a barrier. So we wanted to be clear to get that on the record. And also, as the Georgia Wildlife Resources Division issued a letter February 25th, 2016, making several adverse comments on the permit, and this is a public record. It's available to anybody in this office at my office if you want to come and get it. But at any rate, the Georgia Wildlife Resources Division notes that this is, the proposal is to fill 24.68 acres of jurisdictional wetlands. And that is where the rail spur will be built. So not only are we going to have a situation where the rail spur and the washdown operations are going to be constructed over concrete, which did not work in the past, but also they are going to be constructed over field wetlands. So we compound the problem. And then the third issue we have, did Mr. Morris speak tonight? Trenching and ditching? The third issue we have is that these wetland banks, and there are 4 or 5 different banks, strategic banks, they have been ditched and trenched over the years, and they're ASCS maps, and we also have anecdotal testimony from individuals